But his next pivot is the question: why the war in Iran matters? And when I say matters, why do it matter to you as an American? I'm going to play this video by Obama, who talked a little bit about the Iran war. Then I'm going to follow it up with a video where the guy's going to give you some facts about this war. Then I'm going to get your takes on the other side.
What I also believed was that the regime was not entirely irrational, that they had a survival instinct, and that when you carry out military force, innocent people die, so we should try to use that as a last resort instead of the first. And we went about trying to negotiate a diplomatic agreement that would get the enriched uranium out of Iran, that would assure that they could not get to a nuclear weapon without us knowing about it, that it was internationally agreed upon, and that there were mechanisms in place to enforce it and verify it. And we pulled it off. Without firing a missile, we got 97% of their enriched uranium out. They were able to maintain a modest civilian nuclear program for energy. And
so you think it was working?
Well, not only did I think it was working, even Israeli intelligence thought it was working. Even our intelligence services thought it was working. So there's no dispute that it worked, and we didn't have to kill a whole bunch of people or shut down the Strait of Hormuz.
I put that out there like that intentionally ahead of the rest of the other video I want to show, because I wanted people to understand what Obama did, why he did it, because there's this back and forth. Well, Obama did this and Trump's doing the same thing, and this is argument back. I want you to hear from him who did it first, and it was successful, and he did it without any war. That was the main thing. And it looks as now we're in a war that's going to give us basically the same thing that Obama had already provided for us. Before I go to this next video, does anybody want to chime in on what was just said from Obama's perspective on the issue with Iran?
I'll wait till you play the next video.
Okay, the next video is going to give us hard facts on this war, in Iran.
Key major vulnerabilities of the American military, and I'll just go one by one. But the first is political will, the lack of political will, meaning that the American population is not supportive of this war. Close to 80% of Americans oppose a first strike against Iran, and only about 40% of Americans today still support the military operation against Iran. So that's the first issue. Second issue is the lack of manufacturing capacity. So to fight a modern war, you need to produce a lot of munitions, a lot of missiles, a lot of tanks. And unfortunately, what America chose to do was offshore its manufacturing capacity, its factories, to China. And so that's going to be a major constraint on America's capacity to sustain this war as it drags on. So that's number two. Number three is that America is not willing to sustain casualties, and because it looks bad on TV. And already people are not supportive of this war. So if Americans start arriving back home in body bags, then you can imagine major protests across the nation. So these are the three major constraints on the American military. What I will do now is explain to you why each is problematic. Okay. So the first is the idea of political will. And the reason why political will is important is that in order to win a modern warfare, you have to move towards something called total war. Okay? And what total war is, you structure your entire society to winning the war. Your industry, your culture, your political system all have to be focused on doing whatever it takes to winning the war. So last time America fought a total war was, of course, World War II, and possibly the Korean War. But World War II is a classic example, when the entire American industrial base shifted from making cars to making tanks. And that's what you have to do in order to win, because wars take a long time. They take a lot of resources. Your entire population has to be behind it. And unfortunately, Americans grew up watching the Persian Gulf War, 1991, and then the 2003 Iraq War. And these were quick, simple wars that demonstrated America's technological supremacy. It was like a video game. And so the American population is sort of spoiled it's become indifferent to war, and believe that, okay, it's going to cost us a lot of money, and it's not moral, and it's terrible that these civilians overseas are going to die, but it's not really our problem. So, in other words, I doubt whether or not the American population is willing to make the sacrifices necessary in order to win this war.
That was deep. That was deep, and because when EB brought the question, why is this important? He named some things there, 3 things there that we should be concerned about.
Well, the first thing that should be a baseline to understand all of this was that even during World War II, the government never told the American people the whole ugly truth about war. Never let them see what was going on over in Europe and across in Germany until toward the end of the war, where you can't hide it because the truth comes to light. And then you find out that the government lied. You had to trick the whole culture to becoming a war machine and demonize the other, whether it was Japanese or the Germans. But they sacrificed hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians just to hold on to secrets that they knew the people would push back on.
Okay, I agree with that. Go ahead, EB.
Iran, Iraq, Venezuela, and Libya. What do they all have in common? Oil. 25 to 50% of the war since 1973 have been with oil countries. Think about that for a minute. So I hear what Obama's saying. Obama's good at dancing. I like him a lot, but he's dancing. This is about Americans' dominance and control over things they know to affect. Everything that last speaker said in that video is true. This government is smart enough to know that everything he's saying is real, right? You got to build tanks to keep fighting. Duh. They had a high-ranking general or something on the other day saying if we got attacked with drones right now, we don't even have the defense capabilities against it. Think about what he's saying. Think about that statement alone. We can't even build enough hardware or software to fight against drones. Yet we are bombing people in another country for what we said was nuclear weapons. Red herring. They're lying. It's about control of oil. What they forgot is those people have nothing to lose. When you went over there in their country, they're saying, thank you very much. Now it's our turn. And this is going to play out longer than the Afghan war because they are getting prestige from beating the United States. Such a small country beating the United States with all their firepower. The only promise we have is that the House is going to change and we can stop this madness, or the president's going to change. But you know what's going to happen? We're going to always be paying higher prices to get our stuff through the Strait. Yeah. That's what he did. That's what he created.
Yeah. As you mentioned the Strait, I got something else for y'all to check out.
All right, now sit down for a minute, because see this right here? This ain't just another headline that you want to scroll past. What's happening around the Strait of Hormuz? See, that's not random. That's pressure. And Iran knows exactly what it's doing. They're basically saying if oil moves through here, it's not going to be paid for in U.S. dollars anymore. It's going to be paid in Chinese yuan. Now listen, that might sound like small talk to some folks, but it's not. It's a big deal. And here's the part that they don't explain to regular Joe Blow folks like me and you. Because if they did, we would start asking better questions than we're asking, right? The United States dollar didn't just become the world's main currency because everybody admired America. No ma'am, no sir. That was arranged. Back in 1971, Nixon printed more money than the gold we could support, mostly to pay for the Vietnam War. So he cut the dollar loose from gold completely. Now that created a problem because if your money isn't backed by gold anymore, why should the world keep trusting it? So in 1974, same year I came out of high school, the United States made a deal with Saudi Arabia. You sell your oil in US dollars and we'll protect you militarily. And just like that, the system was set. Okay? After that, every country that needed oil had to get dollars first. And that's what kept the United States dollar on top. It wasn't just strong, it was necessary. Now bring it back to what's happening today. The Strait of Hormuz is where about 20% of the world's oil passes through every single day. So when that gets disrupted, it doesn't stay over there. It hits everybody. Now Iran is saying, we'll sell the oil, but not in dollars. That right there, that's not a small change. That is a direct hit to the system that's been running for over 50 years. Because now countries like China, India, Japan, South Korea, the ones buying that oil, they don't need dollars the same way anymore.
That's right.
Yeah, I saw this video, and it kind of like, because we had talked about this a couple of months back, the whole thing with BRICS. When they first attacked Iran, I brought this article up during one of our shows, and we were talking about the way that oil is going to be handled and how China is going to create a currency for it, and it's going to be for oil. Right now, everything's done in a petrodollar. So when you want to sell oil, it got to be in that's the dollar format that it goes in, and our banks are collecting that, are getting the interest off of that, which keeps our economy going. Getting back to EB's question, why should Americans be concerned? That's going to affect us here. That's going to affect your investments here, your 401ks, your little bit of everything, things like that. Not only that, how many people may lose jobs, during all this? We've already seen jobs lost. I mean, the numbers have been rising with black women. It's like 600,000 now since Trump been in office. Black women have lost jobs, these federal jobs. So when I saw that video, it kind of brought me back to those earlier conversations about the dollar, the economy, of how this is going to impact not just the United States, but globally. The thing about it is that other countries can adapt. We're not going to be able to adapt that quick
because we are so stuck on other things.
We stuck on the dollar.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Plastic, polyester, anything that we make everything in plastic, right? We haven't got away from plastic enough in this country, right? So anything that is affected by plastic, polyester, and fertilizer, and all that stuff is driven by fossil fuels.
Motor oil, everything.
Everything. Diesel. You got to drive the truck that takes more diesel to move a refrigeration truck, right?
Pharmaceuticals.
Everything is affected. You think that hurts those people in Iran and Iraq? I got news for you. They've learned how to live without that stuff. We are the go to the doctor and get me a pill society in a plastic bottle, right? We're going to hurt. Now, I will say this, based on what I'm studying, we're not going to feel that right now, so some of us don't even understand it, but the prices of food have changed 27% since 2019, right? It's going to go up higher, and we're going to feel this next year and be thinking it's the new president or whoever it is in office, but it really it's going to go back to this system we're in right now.
I got a question for you all. Other than Greg, because Greg was the only one probably alive during the Vietnam War, correct?
I was.
Yeah. What about you, EB?
I was born in '67, so I don't know.
You was an elementary school guy.
Yeah, I was born in '69, and when did the war actually end? Do you all know?
1972.
72. So it was around. So they were still fighting when I was born. Okay, I thought it was over before I was born. But the question I have is that I knew a lot of people was against that war. After that, have you guys ever found yourself supporting a war and really didn't know all the details? I give you my example first, which was when we had the war in Iraq. I was initially, not really for it, but then I became a supporter of it. And the reason why I became a supporter of it, I don't want you to understand what I'm saying. I wasn't a supporter because I believed in what was going on. I thought it was garbage of this mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction. But I thought that if we didn't support it, it would make us weak. When I say weak, is the fact that we didn't want to be a target by other countries. That was my thinking then. And so, as I look at every war since the Iraq War, well, actually going back to Kuwait, but the Iraq War, every war since then, I have not seen any altercation that we have. I have not seen a reason for us to invade or go into anything. And I look back over that time, I was like, man, I was supportive of this, like being this American. Oh, we're going to go do this because they're doing that. Then it turned around where I was like, well, if we don't fight, then we're weak. And now I look at this thing with Iran, it puts me back to the same mindset of how do you approach it as a American citizen? How do you just continue to push back? Because we pushed back in Vietnam and we didn't get anything out of it when we pushed back. We're pushing back now in Iran. What are the American people getting out of it pushing back? And I'm not saying this because I'm conflicted. I know exactly how I feel about this Iran war. What I'm saying is that I'm asking the question is, what are we getting supporting or pushing back? We get nothing.
That's when you talk about the Vietnamese War, you need to premise it with saying the United States picked up a war that was already happening and thought they could do it better.
Got you.
France and Vietnam were at war, Dien Bien Phu.
Yeah.
And as they failed, United States, John F. Kennedy, all of them, we'll come help y'all out. We'll come help y'all out. They invented the Gulf of Tonkin incident so that we can move American forces over there and airstrikes just to support. But we couldn't win that war, and they didn't know that as soon as the American public got to see it in the news, thank you, Huntley and Brinkley, Walter Cronkite, all of them, see, you got hooked because you kept looking to see if it was your son or your nephew that was getting shot up as they brought these images back. And that's what fueled the fight against Vietnam.
Got you.
By 1972, they had been into it. They had implemented the draft. I was afraid because I graduated in 73 and 72 they stopped, but my number could have been called if it had gone another year.
Yeah, my dad was there. He was in the Navy though, but he was in Vietnam. And then my wife's uncle, he was on the ground fighting in the Army during Vietnam. And they did a documentary on his unit. The History Channel did a story on them. Had interviewed him and everything of the stuff. Man, the stuff that they saw during that time was ridiculous. But getting back to why does it matter to us now, or what does matter to us about this? How do we approach it from a standpoint of the United States is in it? How do we? What's our move? Do we? If we're pushing back, what is our pushback? Like, how do American people push back, or do you stick in it and
no
say
mechanisms to do that with?
So do you stick with it and support what's happening?
You can't support it. You got to get Trump out of office.
You got to get the House changed.
You got to get the House changed so that we can get the people who know how to do the job back on at the helm.
Yeah, cut the funding, and then they can.
If you can't steer the ship, it doesn't matter who's on the ship. If you can't steer it,
will that stop the war?
You can cut the funding. You can cut the funding. Once the funding's cut, that's it. That's over with, and they can be forced.
It's a similar situation when Obama took over. He was handed a war that he didn't start.
Right.
So it's that delicate. How do we end?
Exactly.
How do we put this fire out? and it's so many layers to
what
it.
Joe Biden did say, get out. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, but even that was ugly and messy.
Yeah,
right.
It's gonna be
right.
So there's no good way to finish this. The thing is, finish it, right?
Right.
At this point, I don't care how it's done. How many more years do we have of this guy?
2 more.
Okay.
Well, with that being said, how do you? Okay, with that being said, getting him out, change of administration and all that. We just mentioned about the issues, the 3 major factors of the issue that we have with this war. One of them is supplies, equipment. So if that's going to become a shortage, and we go in and maneuver to stop this war, does that make us vulnerable of an attack from someone?
We already
else?
vulnerable. I mean,
no, more vulnerable is what I'm saying.
Well,
Lawrence
is still working, and I'm still working, and I can answer the question. I'm sure you can answer it. How many people that's scheduled to work come to work every day where you work? Let's say how many miss every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's been going on the country for the last 10 years, which means manufacturing ability is down everywhere,
Definitely.
even at my wife's place where she worked.
Yeah.
That is the case, and it's been the case for a long time. So guess what? We were short of weapons before we started the war.
Right.
There's no doubt in my mind about that. And we're going to continue to be short of all of the resources if this keeps up. That's why now, if you notice, more and more excuses to stop the war starting to come from the people around him.
Mm-hmm.
But they trying to find legitimate reasons that makes them legitimate. But the thing is that there's not enough products being made to take care of our family and households. It's not enough to be for a war either.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it's a shaky thing. I mean, it's something that I don't think any of us really want this. It was completely unnecessary. It was unnecessary, and everything since this idiot showed up has been completely unnecessary. And whoever, and I pray for whoever comes and takes this after this nightmare is over with, if the nightmare ever ends. At this point, there's so many things that have to be. You have to go back and just start over. Like the thought of democracy and free and fair elections and all that has been thrown out the window. It's almost like you have to rebuild what's torn down.
And I'm good for that. I want to see it be rebuilt. I mean rebuilt.
But hey, we don't know who. Hey, it's almost like we don't know who that person is and what type of radical, decisions that they make.
But we know one thing: we ain't going back.
Well,
I mean,
you gotta hold everybody accountable.
I mean, the reason why I say that, because you see everything that's happening now with politics and removing history, the gerrymandering, removing your voting rights in certain places and all that. You think about that, these things have happened, but we ain't went back yet. And that ain't happening. And so when we look at redoing it all, building it back up, there can be effective ways of doing that, because especially when you get this dude out of office now, and you could take back the House and the Senate and the White House, you can start implementing some changes. The only difference is, will the Democratic Party act right? When I say act right, we know what happened when Harris was in there. There was all this bickering if she should do it or not. And I'm not saying she should run again. I'm not even saying that. Whoever it is in office, I don't care who's running. It could be a man, woman, white, black. I don't care. Is it going to be any type of unity there? Because right now they're talking about the Democratic Socialists, and they're talking about who's a real Democrat, who's a socialist. That's no different than Republican.
That's right.
You got to be unified. And without that unity, you're going to have chaos. And if they decide to take over the House, the Senate, and the White House again, those things have to be in place, and they have to know that now, not when they're at the gate ready to run for a presidency. You got to know that now.
This version of the Republican Party is a dying animal, and with a dying animal, those things, they're going to bite and scratch and claw whoever comes near it. And my thing is, as much as I know, okay, in 2 years we got another election, and now we got all the congressional elections and everything is coming up. I don't put it past if there's some way that they have been figuring out a way to alter these elections. I have and And on top of that, remember my take a few weeks ago, America is stupid. And
You're right.
I just have zero. I've lost all faith. And I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but there is a great escape of black and brown people that are like, forget this place. I'm going to Mexico.
Yep.
I'm going to Australia.
Yep.
I'm going. I got enough money saved up, or I got this online job. I don't need this $150,000 a year job. I can take this customer service job and do it remotely, or go over to a foreign country and teach English. And make $40,000 a year, and that's the equivalent of $100,000 a year in some of these places. So a lot of people just like gave up. I have low key given up. So at the end of the day, I'm still going to do my part. I'm still going to go and vote. I'm still going to encourage others to vote. I'm still going to talk to my children about voting. But at the end of the day, I would not be shocked if one day it was by a landslide that Democrats came and took over. But some way, somehow, this magical button was pushed, and all of a sudden,
I agree.
Blue states that have been blue and looked like it was going to be blue is all of a sudden red. Red states that were about to turn blue, all of a sudden, it's like, no, it's super red now. Yeah. Like it just wouldn't
like Texas.
Those things happen. Yeah.
I agree.
No, you're right. You're right in that. And I don't think many people have that faith in it. But one thing why change is going to be needed, because it should be like over halfway now of Project 2025 is almost implemented. So even with a new regime, you're not going to get that change right away. This is going to be like 10 years ahead. I mean, the catch up to change these things. So it's not going to be. We want to see we don't want to see any more progression of what's happening currently with the Trump administration. We want to see something different. But I'm gonna make this give you something to think about right quick. And we're gonna be wrapping up really soon. But I got this video that kind of caught my attention. I don't even know how I got in my algorithm, where it came. I mean, I know how I got in my algorithm, but I don't even know where this particular person video got in my timeline. This was off of my Instagram. But give me your thoughts on this.
We know he's being God and he no longer can be here. In honor of his legacy, we're not rioting, God. We're not shaming anybody, God. We're just humbling ourselves before you. Yes, Lord. You brought the thundering rain today, God, because Satan takes the L today. Father, in Jesus' name, you get the victory. Father, we ask for forgiveness from our black brothers and sisters for years and years of racism, of systematic racism.
I saw that and I was like, wow, I've never seen anything like that in my life. I've heard people say, God forgive us for our sins of racism and slavery in a sermon, like just a quick one-liner. I've never seen a group of white people praying at an event for forgiveness for racism directed toward black people. I'm not sure where that was at. I got to find the video again.
I can tell you by looking at that brick wall, that had to be here.
In Cleveland?
There had to be. Nobody paints their brick walls the same color. So this should not surprise us. Let me tell you why. It's the Bible. So this is, and I'm not gonna go into this because this could be a whole conversation with me, guys. Y'all, it's not. I don't have a popular thought about this biblical Christian thing. So I'm just gonna keep that narrow. Based on the belief of Christianity, this should have been happening 400 years ago. So we shouldn't even be surprised. The fact that we are surprised that it's happening tells us the psyche of what's happened to us. They shouldn't even be called Christians based on the definition of it and not be okay and not ask for forgiveness. I used to always say, I am shocked at how many times black people forgive people that killed their black sons and not have the white people ask for forgiveness that supported the white cop. I'm shocked. Based on the Christian definition, that should have been going on a long time ago. And so I'm going to say something on the positive side. I have not met demonist white people that treat me unfair. I've not met those people. I've always worked with people that have had very good hearts and done great things. I'm not saying they don't out there. I haven't met them. So I would like to believe that there's more people out there like we just saw on the tape than what we're seeing of what we've seen in the past.
Okay, so I did do some research, and that was good, EB. Thank you. I did read some. This is a little bit after the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is after the death, but I'm not sure where these people were from. They say they were praying, ask God for forgiveness, and it doesn't show what city. It doesn't show what city, but I had never seen anything like that in my life. I'm looking for more videos on this because it caught me. It just really caught me off guard. It kind of gave me that moment of like, wow, there are some people with a good heart and genuine heart. Not saying there aren't people with good hearts, but a Christian community with the way we've seen the church respond under Donald Trump, his supporters in the church, how they've responded over the last, say, 10 years, to see this group of people. It doesn't show what political side of how they were on. All you saw these people praying, asking God for forgiveness for how Black people have been treated in our country. And it just, I don't know, it just did something to me. What's y'all opinion about this video, seeing this?
I mean, oh Lord. Okay. All right. It's great. It's a good thing. Yes, I'm glad they did that. But it's that and. The and is the next time you see or hear of something happening to somebody down the street from you on the news, what steps do you take?
Right.
That was great. I really appreciate it. But what steps do you take when it is time to stand there for your brother and sister that don't look like you? What steps are you taking to your children to explain to them why certain things that happen in this society are problematic and this is the new way to do things? What do you do when you're faced with that opportunity to be there, to be an ally, a real ally? Some people, they ally by just typing some things on the internet and then they move on. I mean, a real ally, like that officer that was on George Floyd's neck. I'd probably be in jail too, but I wouldn't stand there and watch.
Right.
There's no way I'm standing there to watch.
That's right.
There's no way that if I saw a Black woman or a white woman or any woman being accosted by anybody of color, that I stand there and record and watch or just watch. Like, right. There is something inside of the animal world that the human world just hasn't picked up on. When you have a pack, when you have a family of animals that they're doing life together, they're surviving, they're hunting, they're doing things together. In this world, we're all the same animal. We're all humans. We're all mankind. We all should be protecting and helping one another.
Right.
Unfortunately, we're not like that. It's about me, and forget you.
Yeah.
And as we drive past so many homeless people every day and so many other things that we see every day that somebody should and could help, but we don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate the gesture, but I just want to know that you are having these hard conversations because you got an uncle or an aunt or a grandparent that don't think like you right now.
Yeah.
That on Christmas and Thanksgiving, they say some problematic things that you just laugh at and move on. You may not feel that way, but you don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation. It's what you do outside of the camera.
True. Well, I'm hoping that I'm hoping that these people did make a difference. I found some more context on this video. This was from 2020. These people were praying. A group of people were praying before a group of Black Christians. This was in Houston, Texas, by the way. The gathering was organized by Christian rapper Bobby Trey Herring at his multiracial prayer group, Pray Test, in a collaboration with Pastor Johnny Gentry of Free Indeed Church. During the prayer, white attendees knelt before Black attendees with one man stating, "Father God, we ask for forgiveness for our Black brothers and sisters for sins and years of racism." The Black community responded by joining the white attendees in prayer, marking the moment of a shared repentance of solidarity. Following the incident, the protest movement grew beyond Houston, with Herring reporting that similar prayers were being organized in cities such as Austin, Livingston, Charlotte, and as part of a nationwide response to Black Lives Matter protests. The video, initially shared by local reporter Natalie He, garnered over 100,000 shares on Facebook and was widely covered by the international news outlets as a powerful example of interracial reconciliation. I got a caveat there. Check this out. If you guys hear the little piece I just said at the end, you never seen this video, right?
100,000 in this market is bad.
No. You never seen this video, right?
No, right.
Never heard of this situation. I live in Texas and I ain't hear about it.
Yeah.
I got people in Houston. I never heard about it. The thing that caught my attention in this right here, like I said, I'm just sharing this. We're all going through this together for the first time. It said the video initially shared by local reporter, that was a reporter here, Natalie He. The video garnered over 100,000 shares on Facebook and was widely covered by international news outlets. That they were the ones reporting on this. We skipped it. Go back to our earlier conversations about the media. You know how when it comes to a Black situation, how it's covered up, slipped up under the rug. The media does this, and I was reading through that, and that just like when I read it, it just popped out like wow. And this thing, like I said, is spread to other cities. Never heard that about.
And remember, you asked me earlier. I think you used the word genuine.
Right.
Hey, no lies detected here for me.
Well, I have to come with a balanced perspective. I gotta. I think y'all know where I'm at, but it's just I gotta come from that perspective because when I'm sitting down and going over some of these things, or I see the chats that we're talking about, I tend to look up some of the people who think opposite to try to get a feel for where that's coming from. And that's how I because the questions I ask, it gives you a look like, wow, why am I asking that stupid question? It's not that it's stupid. It's just that we have an audience outside of just us, and that I want them to think about what we're talking, like just make it penetrate. So I got to have that counter question to make you think about the other side and how they think. When I said genuine, we know that's not going to happen with everybody. But then I pull this video up. There's a group of people that's trying to be genuine.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the most part, I think that human beings are good people. I think that the society around them, people are just wimpy.
Yeah.
They can't stand up to what's wrong. There's numerous, and I forget it. I forget how many. There's numerous times where I saw a Black kid or a Black person doing something against somebody that was not Black that I didn't like, and I said something about it. I don't remember those instances because I don't have to. It's like it's my natural ability to say, "Hey, don't do that. Hey, excuse me. Hey, let me grab that door." I think that when you have to think of that, that tells me who you are. Yeah, it should not matter whether they're handicapped. It should not whether they're Black, white, or gay. I've seen people treat gay people in a way that I thought was so ridiculous. I wanted to punch them in the face. Yeah. So I've done the overly nice thing just to let them know that hey, everybody doesn't feel that way about you. So I think that I would love to think, and I think based on my experiences, most people are not like that. They just join the pack. They're scared to say something.
Safer.
That's what makes them all look guilty.
It's safer for them that way.
I mean,
have you all
even the nonsense that's happening up here, Lamar? Like we got our brown from India or Pakistan. These brown families that we have here. That we got town halls happening in Frisco and McKinney and Prosper complaining that there are tax-paying people here buying real estate and just being natural humans and buying houses and sending their kids to school and going grocery shopping. They're mad.
Well, building that complex.
It's
the one in McKinney.
Like
it's a Muslim campus, basically.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy, and I just don't understand it. But
They never threatened my. I've been threatened. I've been threatened by white people more than any other. I mean, literally threatened by white people more than anybody else. I've had fights with black people, but I've never had nobody like make me feel like my life was threatened. I'm not saying it don't exist because we know it do. I've never been threatened by anybody from the Middle East.
Yeah.
Have friends. I've never had anybody threaten me from China.
Yeah.
North Korea. None of these places but I've been threatened by. But I ran into the Klan in North Carolina. Okay. So all I got to say is that, hey, if it wasn't for my big family down there who knew people, and they knew who my people was, I was left alone. This was in 1994. So I'll bring that story up another time because it's deep. But to know that, and I'm not saying that I've been approached by a lot of white people. What I'm saying is that the time I thought my life could have been in danger like that was from a white person who had the entitlement to want to threaten me. And so it is close to my heart when I had these discussions about racism. And when you're saying about right here in our, the stuff we saw with Carmelo Anthony right here in town, whether he was innocent or guilty, the vitriol that went amongst the people was insane.